Hello, everybody. This is Phil Young, and I am on tonight with no intros or anything. I know Charlie's running over, but I'm just letting you know I'm on tonight. So I'll wait for Charlie to come in, but we will get the show started, and let's start it right off the bat by talking about the Boston Celtics. So, in case any of you have not known this, Boston's playing Dallas for the championship game of the NBA, and it starts this Thursday at 8:30. Um, Me myself, I am rooting for the Celtics, and I'm sure that some people will have some issues with that, but I think that it's going to be a great matchup. And if you don't believe me, check it out yourself. So I think that strategically, the Celtics are, they've kind of cakewalked through this series, and up until this point, really no one's tested them. I mean, Indiana was a good series, and they did come in at crunch time. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm still hesitant. I think the series itself will probably go 6 games. I think the Celtics will end up prevailing, um, but that really falls on the fact that if we can get Kristaps back. So if Kristaps is back, I think we're going to have a much better chance to uh, to win this thing, but it will take some. It'll take some time. It'll be some work for sure. So I'm just letting you know that I'm online, and Charlie will be joining us soon. He was in another podcast that ran over. I'm hoping that people can hear me, and I'm not just wasting my voice. But we will see. So um, I'm also going to see if I can start recording this so when Charlie does come on, we can get right into it. We've got a good show tonight. I want to talk about my nonprofit, Achieve Greatness, and some of the great things we're doing from the sports standpoint for this summer. The other thing I want to talk about is Charlie and I have challenged each other for our top 25 um, all-time NBA greats. So that should present some arguments and some discussions, and then just kind of open it up and get some feedback. Hopefully, for those who are listening, if you have any questions, you want to pose any questions or thoughts to us, that would be great. I'm just monitoring the feeds right now. I don't see anything happening, so I'm just going to keep talking. And going back to the Celtics and Mavs. So as we've seen in the playoffs, man, the Mavericks have been playing some elite basketball. Looking at all the breakdowns for the statistical standpoint, they have done a fantastic job. And I hate to say it because I'm not very happy about it, but Kyrie is playing his ass off. He has been having a phenomenal series, and Luca went through a period there where he was struggling a little bit, but then those two guys turned it on. And some of the trades that they made mid-season or just before the trade deadline really impacted that team, and it's made a significant difference uh, for these guys. I want to say that PJ Washington was a great pickup. Daniel Gafford, great pickup. Again, these guys, 3-and-D wing and an elite rim protector. You can't beat that. And Derek Lively, the rookie that they have coming off the bench, he is another problem. I remember watching a game earlier this year where the Celtics beat the Mavs, but it was a tough game. And that was before they got these guys in trade. And since they've got those gentlemen, their record has been like one of the tops in the NBA during that time. So Dallas is playing some very good basketball. Jason Kidd's coaching them up, and Kyrie seems to be happy, which is not a good thing for us. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes in and how he plays out on this. I think though that when you look at the matchups with the Celtics, you got JT. He's going to be a load for anybody to guard, and Jalen Brown to me has been playing the best basketball out of all the guys on the Celtics for the playoffs. Last year, uh, when they played Miami, he struggled. They had all those turnovers, and JT had a horrible game. He had a bad series as far as I'm concerned. But this year, Brown has brought it to another level, and him winning the MVP of the Eastern Conference Championship was a huge get and a big confidence booster. And I will tell you something, he's probably going to be the one matching up on Luka, and that's going to be a hell of a matchup. I think um, it's going to come down to how we can contain Luka and Kyrie. I do believe that our guards can defend Kyrie. I mean, he's still going to get what he gets. I think the real key is going to come back in the back line. So if Kristaps isn't there, we're going to have some. It's going to be some tough issues to deal with defensively. So looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a fantastic series, and I think it's going to get a lot of visibility. And hopefully the Celtics bring home number 18 because it has been quite some time since we last won a championship, and that was with the big three with KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. But I think this team might be able to do it. And I'm gonna tell you something. They've had the easiest run thus far. I think they're 12-2 so far in the playoffs this year, and they pulled the trigger and played when they had to. And that's my concern. Sometimes this team goes into some mental lapses. It seems like they're just not paying attention or what have you. So we're hoping that they come out of this and they come out with some victories. So the first two games are at home, the format 2-2, 1-1-1. So hopefully we can take care of business at home. And we've had one of the best playoff road records in the last few years as well. So hopefully that will all come to fruition and give us the dub for the series. One of the things that I think that people are missing out on is some of the background with the Celtics. So their coaching staff does have Sam Cassell, and they have some other high-end coaches. In fact, one of their coaches is about to he's about to start with the Charlotte Hornets, Charles Lee. But I think the big miss or the big thing that people might not be aware of is Jeff Van Gundy got hired a few months ago after he was booted off of I forgot what NBA show he was doing. But he's a consultant for us. And he has a worldly vast amount of experience and knowledge from the basketball standpoint. And I think that's actually helped us out as well. Just some of his input. And you can see Missoula has matured this year, which was something that we were concerned about last year. And he didn't call timeouts in games, didn't do game management very effectively towards the end of games and crunch time. But I think this year we've seen a big difference in him. And I think that has a lot to do with not only the coaching that he's getting, but the support in the background that he's getting. And Brad Stevens, he's done a fantastic job. That's why he was executive of the year. So I think the Celtics are really in line to take this to another level and to bring home the bacon. So if anybody wants to chime in and shoot an email or send us a message, we'd be glad to talk about it. The next thing I wanted to bring up was a touchy subject, which is the Negro Leagues. So the Negro Leagues, this year we had a Major League Baseball decided to incorporate all the Negro League stats into Major League Baseball stats. And so while a lot of people thought that was great, which in a way it is, I also thought it was great as well, but in a way I don't. And here's why. So for many years, Negro players weren't allowed to play in baseball. So none of those stats and everything counted. They were playing in their own major leagues. And now, all of a sudden, 90 years into the fact, MLB wants to include the Negro League baseball stats. And I'll be honest with you, there were a lot of people that should have been in the Hall of Fame for the Negro Leagues, never made it. Kennesaw Mountain Landis was at the time that the baseball had talked about possibly integrating, and that was because Murderers Row, 1929 Yankees, played the Negro League All-Stars in an exhibition game and got their asses kicked. And so They had gone to some of the stars there. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth had gone to the commissioner at the time and said, "Hey, look, we want to. We think the Negro players are pretty damn good. Why aren't they playing?" And Mountain Landis, who was the commissioner at the time, a well-renowned bigot, whose name actually is from the uh, Kennesaw Mountain, Georgia, which was the battlefield, one of the battlefields during the Civil War. And so you can see where this is going. He was not having it, said he would never allow coloreds to play in baseball. And so for many years, that became kind of the mantra until Jackie Robinson broke the color line in 47. But the other thing is, a lot of people just realize that we those statistics, now that they're incorporated into Major League Baseball, they're going to have a resounding effect. And one of them is the biggest bigot that we know, which was Mike Cobb, must be rolling in his grave now that he sees that his numbers are no longer top as far as the batting championship, because Josh Gibson replaced him. So that to me was the only positive that I got out of this. And hey, there he is, Charlie Perry. What's up, CP?
What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Let me try to fix this camera here. Is that good?
Yeah, I can see you now. Can you hear me?
Charlie Perry? That's the best it's going to be. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
So, say what?
Hey, listen. I saw it running late, so I'm like, I didn't do any intro or anything. I just started talking, man. So I knew you were tied up in the other call, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start talking. So I tell you, I went into a whole synopsis on the Celtics and the Mavericks in the playoffs, and then I also talked about the Negro leagues incorporating. The major leagues incorporating Negro League stats into MLB stats. So I'm kind of touching all kinds of stuff, but I also have one in the chamber, which is my top 25 NBA players of all time, my list. And also I wanted to talk just about some basketball events that we have coming up for Achieve Greatness, so everybody can get an idea of what we're going to be doing going forward. But I'm gonna let you talk because
man.
My friggin' voice is already dying up here. I'm drinking some water.
Yeah, I got my water. I just met with some good people. A weightlifting team called Limitless, and they were going to Niagara Falls June 13th through the 16th, and they're going to be competing nationally. So bunch of local people, and I'm very, very happy about that because I mean, anything national is awesome. So, but that's just a little local plug. But I am so excited about these Celtics. I am so excited because you know why? I'm hearing all this national news, national noise. Let me put it like that. This national.
Dude, what is up with Kendrick Perkins? What's up with Kendrick Perkins?
He
just says stuff to get a reaction, man.
Yeah, he's playing the role that they want him to play, and he's not looking at the big picture. The big picture is he played for the Boston Celtics, right? And they did good by him. They did excellent by him. You know, guess what? When he had to go, it was his time to go. You know, right. But at least they gave him that team he played with 2008. You know, he got that, and nobody can take it away from him. But this foolishness with him and on First Take, and it's just driving me crazy because I just think he's phony, and I don't. Anybody I met from Texas is not phony like that, right? And he seems like he's just phony, man. It's driving me crazy.
You know he's doing it for likes, and he wants to get hits on his page or whatever he's doing. So I just thought it was funny when he said Ant's better, and I'm like, Ant's
Yeah,
gonna be great, I think,
yeah,
but
he
you
is.
can't compare them right now with the with our guys, especially Jalen and JT. I think, dude, I don't know about you, but I think Jalen Brown's been our MVP of the playoffs so far. He's been crazy, man.
Yeah,
His defense has been crazy. His offense. What you
he's
think?
definitely. Yeah, he's showing, and over the past few years, I've been so critical with him. And the reason being is because I thought he was dribbling a little bit more than he needed to, and he was causing himself to have some turnovers. And then the way he is a little lackadaisical on the free throw line, he's throwing many points away in the game. But all in all, this year, between him and Peyton Pritchard, have I definitely they're on a different level with me. I actually like like everything they're doing. I mean, I always like both their games a little bit, but I was always there was something they were doing that would get me so aggravated. And Jalen was his turnovers, and Peyton Pritchard was his free for all shooting. He always thought that he can shoot at any point, and he was just letting it go like the rifleman. And I don't think that was his role with this team last year. And
Yeah,
so, but Jalen definitely the MVP of this team, and with spurts of everybody else filling in on different games, where they,
well, no
Al
doubt,
Horford had, yeah. So,
dude. That
um,
game, Orford had seven 3-pointers, dude.
yeah,
I mean, you got to be kidding me. He goes from
yeah,
not hitting the side of the barn with the penny, and now he's
hmm
draining 7 threes. And that behind the back pass that JT had when he was driving to the basket, and I'm sitting here to this day. I've watched that replay over and over, and I'm like, how the hell did he make that pass, dude? That was pinpoint.
yeah.
You
And when
know,
you
it
look
was.
at it, yeah, look at it in slow mo.
Yes, that's
He's
what I'm
actually
saying.
looking. He's looking in that direction, and then boom, and it hits Horford's shooting hand almost perfect. He got that bounce pass, and it was like he was shot
It's right in his
ready, and
pocket.
boom. Yeah,
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 right in the
perfect.
pocket. So so what do you think about the matchup with the Dallas Mavericks? So we're going to talk about the first thing that everybody's going to talk about was Kyrie Irving, right? So
Hmm.
Kyrie Irving and Luca are playing out of their minds, dude.
They
They are
sure are.
gelling so well because of Luca's size. Kyrie don't have to play match up against two guards. He can actually play against point guards, and Luca can match up with a two, even though he's a point guard. And I'm
Hmm.
telling you, those two, the chemistry, and then that midseason trade that they made, where they got PJ Washington, they got Daniel Gafford from the damn Wizards.
Yep.
Those two guys, a rim protector and a 3-and-D guy, and then they put Tim Hardaway on the bench, and they put Derrick Jones Jr. back in the lineup. And
Mm.
their defense has been playing exquisite. I watched the series they just came out of. Their rotations are crazy. They have great rim protection, and I think it's going to be difficult for us. Though I think we're going to still take it in six. That's my own personal opinion. But I think if we don't have Kristaps, it might go seven.
Yeah, yeah. It's they there was an announcement he's going to play game one. He's ready. KP will be ready. And as far as Kyrie and Luca, anything they do, I think there's going to be two Celtics out of that starting five that are going to match it as far as numbers wise, right? Um, and so that's going to even that out. So now there has to be that third and fourth player on both teams that really has to step it up. And I think that's where the Celtics have the advantage. And they're going to have
Yes,
that advantage um, right away. Defensively, I think they're better defense. The Boston Celtics, and I think that we there's the edge. And six is definitely that's the go-to number as far as 6 games. And So I definitely 6 is good for me, and if it's anything less Celtics way, I would love that too. Um, so yeah, Mike, how you doing? I appreciate Mike, another sports guy here. I'd love to see him, especially he's always on YouTube, and that's good for us, Phil.
Yeah.
YouTube is
What's
good
up,
for
Mike?
us, man.
Amen.
Mike loves talking basketball, so we definitely got to get him on. One of our first guests. It's just he's a book of knowledge when it comes to the game, and especially local sports. And he's a Pistol Pete fan through and through, and I love anybody talking Pistol Pete because that was one of my dad's favorite players. So
Yeah,
definitely
I
good.
remember seeing Pistol Pete when he played with the Jazz, and I was living in Maryland, and my dad took me to see the Washington Bullets. That's what they were called then. That's when they
Hmm.
won games, and
Yep.
they played against Utah, and I was like right near the front row. I remember that, and he was averaging like 20 something, 30 points, whatever it was. He was doing his usual stuff, but man, he was a magician with the ball.
Yeah.
A magician.
So magical, and Michael and I always talk about some of the stuff that is going on in different drills and with these kids and the dribbling drills and ball handling, passing, everything.
Have
Pistol
you
Pete was
seen?
doing.
Did you see his
He,
drills?
yeah,
His dr-
yeah, and
his
that's
drill video drill. Dude, they're doing all that stuff now. They weren't doing that
yeah,
back then.
that's what we're talking about. Someone caught on and you know Bill grabbed that archive film and basically put it in a training. It's just amazing some of the stuff that he was doing. Is I believe it was Mike and I who shared a video with Pistol Pete and Red Auerbach. That was just amazing. Um, so
Still can't believe he died so young, man. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
playing
So
ball, but he's playing
yep.
ball when he did.
Was that in L.A.? Was it Los Angeles?
I don't remember. I know he was playing pickup game, and they said he just collapsed on the court and ended up being a heart attack. I don't remember where it was though.
Yeah, I can't remember. Um, so Phil, you talked about this all time top 25, right? And the
Oh, I
thing
got
is,
this ready. I'm ready.
you are. See, I did
Yeah.
something different. I picked my all time team. Um, so we're on two different wavelengths. So
Oh, that's
what?
okay. You tell me what your all-time team is, because basically what I did was I went through and said I'm going to do a top 25, but I based it on the top five players at each position. So I did the top five centers, power forwards, small forwards, two guards, point guards, and I then ranked them as who would be the top. So basically, that number one player across each of those five categories will give me my top five all time team. So we are on the same page. I just did mine a little bit different than yours.
Yeah. The Why don't we go with yours so I can find that video? I mean that list I have. I know I
Yeah,
posted it
so we can
somewhere.
go with mine. I'm going to start with my all time top five centers.
Okay.
And this is hopefully going to create some discussion points. But at number five, I have Akeem the Dream Olajuwon. That dude's post moves were insane.
Yes.
I saw him totally destroy, including Shaq in playoff games. I saw him destroy Shaq, David Robinson, all the contemporary players that were the top centers at that time. But that was my number five. My number four was Bill Russell.
Hmm.
Even though in this day and age, his game might be tough to transcend because of his height, but dude, you can't beat heart. So the fact that you win 11 championships in 12 years and you're the number
Exactly.
one and you're battling one of the best bigs ever in Wilt, I think that says a lot about the type of player he was too. And oh, Mike says that Pete passed away playing in Pasadena, California. So
Yeah.
you were right. It was in
Yeah.
Cali.
Hmm. Yeah.
So number three all time, I got Shaq. one of the most dominant bigs ever, just overpowered everybody. Number two, I have Wilt. And when you score 50 points a game, I don't care what era it is, who you're
Hmm.
playing against. You score 50 a game and you average 25 rebounds, you one of the top players ever. The distinguishing characteristic between him and my number one, which is Kareem, was just that Kareem was he was elite. He was tough to defend for 24 years. He was
Hmm.
an all he was an all star. Uh, what was he? Three-time MVP. He's just a phenomenal player and athlete. People don't give him a lot of credit, but to have that type of sustainability, you got to remember he went from the Bucks, then he goes out to the Lakers, and then he's there with Magic and Showtime. By that time, he was already kind of old, and this
Yeah.
dude's running
Yep.
up the court like a gazelle. So
Hmm.
my top five is Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, Bill, and Akeem.
Okay.
Now, when I go to the power forwards, my number five, Kevin Garnett.
Mm.
I think he's one of the best to play that position. My number four is Kevin McHale.
Yep.
And my number three is going to be, it's going to put off a lot of people, but I don't care because he was one of my favorite players and the master of the turnaround jump shot that I destroyed people with when I was a kid. The Big E, Elvin Hayes.
Yes.
Elvin
Yes.
Hayes, number 11, was a beast. People
Yep.
forget 21 and 12, that was his career average. And he was
Yeah.
several times All NBA and All Defensive NBA. And then number two, I got Karl Malone. And then number one, I got the big fundamental, Timmy Duncan, who I think is
Hmm.
the greatest power forward. I know they were shifting back and forth towards the end, but when he played with D Rob, he was all power forward
Yeah.
and basically was unstoppable.
Sure
Then
was.
I go over. So any questions on my top guys so far?
No,
They're going to be different than yours.
those are a lot of my favorites. The only thing I'd like, I would Karl Malone. He's not on any of my all time. Um, I like this game, but I always find someone else that can play. It was just, I would always choose someone else over him. Maybe that's just a personal dislike for him.
I agree, Charlie. That the only reason I put him on is because I had to take away all the personal shit and
Yeah.
go straight basketball because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I really don't like him as a human being, but he
Yeah.
was a beast for many years, and you can't deny he was an all time great. But I get you. That's where the personal preferences come in. Some people
Yeah.
take themselves off the list because we might have a different way of looking at it than other people do. But I agree with you. So that being said, who was your top center, or did you do it that way by position?
I did it by just a top five team. I mean, my top team rather than by position. Um, Starting five rather, if that makes it easier to
Yeah,
understand. And so uh, number one, or the center would be Wilt Chamberlain. Uh,
hmm
Power forward, I would take him out of his position, and because I thought he was more of this, and that's Bill Russell as a power forward. Um, I would put um, Kobe as my three, Kobe Bryant, um, and I would kind of flip flop these two at one and two would be Magic and Michael Jordan. So it'd be Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain.
okay.
Now the second team, right, would be somebody you mentioned, two people you mentioned. Um, Kareem at the center would be that number two team. Uh, I got Larry Bird as the three, Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, and also um, oh, the spur there. My blank here. Um, Duncan. I got Duncan here. Um, so Duncan would be that power forward.
Yeah.
Kareem would be the center. Larry Bird would be the three. Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan flip flopping.
So did you have Magic and Michael on the other team, the first team?
Yeah, I just didn't. I could. I just those are my numbers. When it comes to 1 and 2, those are the first two I usually pick, and I could kind of play around with some other guys from um, Kobe, and because Kobe was different, right? He could shoot the ball from everywhere, from mid range to out to the 3 point arc. He can dribble. I rarely seen anyone steal the ball from him. So you
Yeah,
know,
definitely all
so
time great. And a
yeah,
defender too. People forget he
yeah,
was a
definitely.
good
Yeah,
defender.
he there's some great I mean, if I had to take MJ out of there and Magic Johnson, I just have this huge fascination with Iverson. Um, and But there's just so many players. No top team is ever, you're never wrong with,
You're never
you
wrong.
know
Yep.
everyone's got their own opinions. And
So let me give you my remaining players. So for the small forward position at number 5, I got Dr. J. Number
Yep.
4, I got Scottie Pippen.
Mm,
Number 3, Elgin Baylor.
yes.
Number 2, Larry Bird. And number 1, LeBron.
Mm,
That's my
yep.
top 5. And then for the shooting guards, number 5, I got Ray Allen. Number 4, I got Dwayne Wade. Number 3, here's one of the only current people I have, Luca.
Yeah.
Dude, when you average 28, 8, and 9 for your career, you're already kind of an elite all-time great as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully he has sustainability, but I think he's going to. And then number 2, I have Kobe, and number 1, I have MJ. And
Yeah.
then for the point guards, number 5, I got AI. Number 4, I got Isaiah Thomas, the one that played with the Pistons.
Hmm.
Uh, number 3, I got Oscar Robertson. Number 2, I got Steph Curry. And number 1, I got Magic. Magic's always going to be number 1. So if we
Yeah.
look at my top 5 number 1 squad, I got Kareem at center, Duncan at power forward, LeBron at the 3, MJ at the 2, and Magic at the 1. I challenge your team right now to a
Hmm.
5-on-5. And then if I look at
Well,
it from the second team is like, Wilt Chamberlain, Karl Malone, Larry Bird, Kobe, and Steph. That's
mm,
the other 5.
yeah, you got a good team, a super team. I love that. Um, no, we just talked about personal dislikes. So for a player like Karl Malone and the other person is LeBron. I just have this dislike. However, no one I find him so fascinating and he's so appealing to me, and I really enjoy him is when he plays on like the Olympic team, when he plays on teams like that. Um, that's when I like LeBron. I really do. I think there's something different about him when he's playing with those great players. He kind of plays he kind of fits in where he has to, and uh, and then he steps it up when he has to too. I really like when he plays with the Olympic teams. It's the LeBron that I like, but when he's on these NBA teams, is something there. It's not a joy for me to watch. Um, Similar to what I used to go through with Paul Pierce, right? Paul Pierce would do everything that he had to, but he would always get me frustrated. And I was like, oh man, he's shooting again. But um, he got his team a championship. but he
Yeah.
wouldn't have got it without those others, right? There's no way he would have got it without those others.
And I think,
Garnett,
and I agree with you with Pierce because he was kind of frustrating, but a great man. He has some great crunch time plays too. But you're right. His game elevated when they brought in Ray Allen and KG. But you got to think, that's kind of where the whole big three started, where everybody was trying to get those at least three elite players to get on the same team. So you got to think too, LeBron, when he took Cleveland the first time to the playoffs and he was young, and that team had no business getting into the championship game, and they ended up losing. I think San Antonio beat them. But LeBron carried that team. And I think
Mhm.
after that, he just got frustrated and was like, hey, look, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and figure it out myself and put myself with better players. The only thing I don't like about LeBron is all this freaking flopping that he's done throughout his career. And I'm so sick of people making TikTok videos comparing Jordan going to the basket and absorbing all these hits and LeBron getting ghost touched and falling to
Yeah.
the ground.
Mhm.
But other than that, I don't have that same dislike for him that I have for Karl Malone because LeBron's been an upstanding citizen, upstanding dad.
Yeah.
He helps
Yeah.
out his community. He's the antithesis of Karl Malone,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, but if people look at his business model and what he's done, I think that you take some of that and you put it to the side because he's
Yeah.
been a positive role model. He doesn't have that extra family like Mike and Dr. J and Karl Malone,
Yeah.
and you just haven't seen him caught up in any scandals, man, and that's rare, especially with all the groupies out there throwing everything at these dudes,
Yeah, he's a great humanitarian. I like what he's done and what he's doing, especially for Cleveland, the schools, everything. That's just amazing. Um,
Oh, so do you see
Bill, just
Mike?
look
You see
at
Mike's top five?
yeah,
Bill
I do.
Russell, Tim Duncan, Bird, MJ, and Magic. I like that. And then the
Yeah, I
bench, he
do.
had Kareem, Barry, Steph, Oscar, and Baylor. So I'm thinking he's talking about Rick Barry.
Yeah, probably. Um, Hold on one second, Phil.
Okay, something happened.
Yeah.
I need your problem.
All right.
How much longer?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. I guess.
So, Mike, are you talking about Rick Barry on that, bro?
All right.
So you want you to call me.
Yep. Now Mike has you
Yep,
see
okay.
he's got a lot of similar players, and that's what one thing that happens with picking all-time greats, teams, and um Steph is up there, and it's how do you leave Steph out of anything, right?
It's tough because he is an all timer, man. Hey, and I was just looking, so I ranked I have this big list of players, right? And so for my third team, it'd be Shaq, Elvin Hayes, Elgin Baylor, Luka Doncic, and Oscar Robertson. Can you imagine
Hmm.
that squad? That's the
Yeah.
third team. In the fourth
Yeah.
team, I got Bill Russell, Kevin McHale. So I got some Celtics together. This team is all defense. You got
Hmm.
Russell, Kevin McHale, Scottie Pippen, Dwayne Wade, and Isaiah Thomas, dude.
Hmm.
That's another flame throwing squad. And then my fifth team would be Akeem with Kevin Garnett and Julius Irving at the three, Ray Allen at the two. So you got your damn shot shooter. And then you have Allen Iverson at the point. So Iverson would never have to worry about playing defense on that team because he got Akeem and Kevin Garnett backing him up and Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. Yes. The where Oscar Robinson, right? That team that you just mentioned. That's a strong team. Could you imagine that?
That's what I'm saying. You got Shaq, you got Elvin Hayes, Elgin Baylor, Oscar Robinson, and Luca. And Luca and Steph are the only two current players I have in this realm. And Steph's already kind of shown his longevity, right? Luca's
Yeah.
been elite for the last couple of years, and who the hell knows what's going to happen this year? But he's young. He's what, 24, 25 years old. Already got his team going to the championship, and he took a player that everybody was disregarding because they're saying he's a head case, which is Kyrie Irving. And you look at Kyrie, dude, he looks happy.
Yeah.
He's having fun, and I'm like, okay, that's not good. That's not a good look. And the other thing is, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they love Kyrie Irving. So are they going to really go after him, or are they going to let him dog him out? That's the other thing I'm thinking about.
Yeah, they can probably they may get starstruck, right? Because he is that player that they enjoyed watching. I'm just hoping that we're able to reverse that, where Kyrie's a little starstruck. But that's not going to happen because Kyrie's all about, he came in as a rookie and he went right at Kobe Bryant, and he didn't sit, he didn't relax. He was going to play him. He talked crap to him. Kyrie was ready, and I think that's a lot of reason why he didn't play in the college level. I think if he played in the college level, his stats would be amazing. But he was.
These guys that come in college. His father was a great player in college, Dedrick Irving, and so he had a big influence on Kyrie too, and either for better or for worse. But he was a dad who was involved. And you can't say that too much about our community,
That's great.
Hey, I want to go over the guys that I left off of this team. I just want you to know that wasn't. So I left off for centers. I left off Moses Malone, Patrick Ewing, Dwight Howard, and David Robinson. You go, why Dwight Howard? He was what, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He averaged 17 and 12 for his career. He was he took his team to the championship. They didn't win, but that team was so to begin with. But those are my other centers. For my power forwards that I left off, it was Dirk Nowitzki, Charles Barkley, Bob Pettit. Look at Bob Pettit's numbers. Even when Wilt was playing, Bob Pettit was a beast for the Hawks. And then Dennis Rodman, who I think is probably one of the best defenders and rebounders in league history based on his size, even though he was a basket case. But, dude, he's a proven champion. And then for the small forwards, I left off Paul Pierce, Adrian Dantley, who I loved AD's game, but he didn't play much defense. Bernard King, who, if he didn't blow out his knee, he would have been an all-time great. He still made the Hall of Fame, but he was a monster. Alex English, great shooter for Denver, didn't play any defense. Carmelo Anthony. And then my last small forward I left off was Dominique Wilkins, who I think was another great player, but he played in an era where they were just far better teams than the Hawks, man. The way he was playing against you had the Celtics, you had the Bulls, you had all these great teams, the Pistons. They couldn't get by any of them.
And even the Nets surpassed them eventually, where the Nets were.
He's one of the first guys that people forget. He tore his Achilles tendon, and he ended up coming back and playing a tick under the level he played with before. And the medical industry, the medical field at that time, he was like an anomaly because most people, when they tore the Achilles, they were done, right?
Yeah.
And then you end up having Kobe come back, and then you had KD has been a real example of that as well. And that's the other guy that I kept off was Kevin Durant for my my small forward. So then for the twos, I left off George Gervin, John Havlicek, Clyde Drexler, and I know people don't like it because he dribbles the life out of the basketball, but I think you got to look at James Harden and what he did, especially in his prime years, where he was all-time great stats that he was putting up for that team, for those teams. But a basket case nonetheless. He likes strip clubs too much. And then for my point guards, the people I left off was the logo, Jerry West, John Stockton, Gary Payton, Chris Paul, Kyrie, Walt Frazier, Jason Kidd, Russ Westbrook, and Steve Nash. Those are all the guys that I looked at. And I looked at, did they make all NBA teams? Did they win MVP? Did they win a playoff MVP? So all these guys, for the most part, had all these other accolades that kind of built into what my final decision was. So that's a wrap.
Yeah, it's I like that. I like that. That was and the reason why I like that is because there's so many errors in those teams, right, that you mentioned. And I think I had mentioned about you that there's certain players I like at certain errors and certain points. Um just the way they played. Like Magic Johnson's game I loved. It was that Showtime. Um the best thing I like about Michael Jordan, right, is his dunks I like, but his mid game was unbelievable. When he was in that bucket, shooting around the elbow or elbow extended, chances are that was money. That was 2 points, easily. Um, and we tend to forget about his free throw shooting. It was high throughout his career. He never had bad free throw stats. And maybe that comes from North Carolina and running the stairs, and maybe that's where he gets it from.
Dean Smith. Dean Smith. Yeah, no shit. Dean
So
Smith is the problem.
yeah, the let me ask you this, right? And I definitely want to bring this discussion maybe next week, right? But I really want to talk about Pete Rose, right? And I'm going off subject, and Barry Bonds, right? And them being out of the Hall of Fame. I want to talk about. I want to, and I want to dig a little deeper. That's why I don't want to really bring it up, but I want to kind of give you a softball pitch, and maybe next week at some point we can use that as one of the segments and really get into it. Because I just think that those two are just mind-boggling. To hit that baseball.
Can we talk about Rose, Bonds, and Roger? Because the greatest pitcher of all time is not in the Hall of Fame either.
Actually, yeah, let's do that. Call it that trifecta, right? That.
Yeah.
In a drillology or whatever it may be. But I definitely want to talk about that. So between you and I, do our homework in this next week, and definitely hit on that.
So what are we going to discuss? Whether or not they should or should not be in the Hall of Fame?
I'm pro should, all three of them. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's so many things that are going on now, and supplements and so on and so forth. I just think they should. And hitting a baseball or throwing a baseball is I don't think any kind of type of drug or supplement is going to enhance that whatsoever. You either got it or you don't, And
well, I can tell you what it won't do. It won't help you become a great baseball player. I could go and do a ton of steroids when I was in my 20s and still suck at baseball.
Yeah.
Or any other sport, right? So I get what you're saying. And then when you look at that era, that whole era in MLB was Bud Selig knew exactly what was going on when Sosa and McGuire started their shit. He knew what was going on. And remember, they had just come off a strike. So, yeah, we can talk about this because I've done a lot of research already because I'm in agreement with you. If Ty Cobb had have his racist ass in the Hall of Fame and Napoleon LaJoy and Honus Wagner and all these guys who were renowned bigots, and now we're going to try to come up and say that, oh, well, now there's standards that we have to follow. It should be one standard.
Yeah.
What kind of baseball player were you? Not what kind of human being you were. And then you look at the era. That steroid era, pitchers were using it. Hitters were using it. So everybody was using. Now, there were some people who were clean that weren't, but you got to figure those guys were going up against the same dudes. And Bonds, I know this for a fact because of all this research I've done, his biggest problem was he kept getting hurt, right? And, of course, his ego started seeing McGuire and Sosa put up all these numbers, and he's like, shit, I'm way better hitters than those guys. look at Bonds, go into baseballreference.com and look at Bonds and his stats from the age of, I think it was 34 to 39. Here, his great, the best statistics ever, right, dude?
Yeah.
You can't walk 226 times in a year because of steroid.
Yeah.
You'll have to have an eye to be able to see and hit the ball. And people forget he was already a Hall of Famer before the alleged steroid abuse took place. Right? So he was already a Hall of Famer. But they wanted to make sure that, you know, he didn't get a chance to break any more records because they were pissed when he broke Hank Aaron's record for home runs. So from 35, which was in 2000, until he was 39, he made 5 consecutive All-Stars. During that time, he hit 339. He's age 35 to 39. He averaged, his slugging average was 781, and his on-base percentage was 535. So he was getting on base almost 54% of the time. He averaged 52 homers, and he averaged 174 walks versus 63 strikeouts during that period. That's just MVP 4 out of those 5 years.
Yeah,
he was an MVP. And people
amazing.
Bonds was a 7-time MVP. 7 times, dude. 7. Yep. How did Bronny go? LeBron goes, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Remember when he went to the South Beach? I'm taking my time with South Beach. That was an asshole move, too. I'll give you that one for LeBron. So I'm looking forward to discussing that because I got a lot of stats. Rose, that one's still been iffy with me because of the 835-page report that they got on him, but he never bet on his team.
Yeah.
So he bet, but he didn't bet on his team.
Yeah. And I liked them. I always did. And just can't wait to discuss it. And I wanted just want to do a little bit more homework.
Let's do it. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
So we are just about over. I wanted to talk real quick, if I can just talk about Achieve Greatness and some of the basketball events and stuff we have coming up.
Of course.
So in case people don't know, Charlie does a podcast with my wife. It's called Facts and Fentanyl. Facts or Facts and Fentanyl.
Fentanyl, Facts, and Stories.
And Stories, yeah. So we lost our son, Andrew, 2 years ago as he had marijuana that was laced with fentanyl. He did not know it, got it from a plug that he knew. That guy's still walking the street, and my son is no longer here. So my wife and I started a nonprofit called Achieve Greatness, which Charlie talks about in the other podcast quite a bit. Achieve Greatness has 3 specific tiers or pillars that we deal with. One is we want to connect with the youth in our communities, ages 5 to 18. And primarily we use basketball as a segue to do that, discuss about the dangers of fentanyl and just drugs and opioids in general. The second thing is we have an education and awareness platform that we're developing right now. And then we also are fighting for legislation to change some of the laws and to get the fentanyl class, synthetic fentanyl class as a type 1 drug. So all those things are happening in the background, but we have a couple of events I just wanted to shoot out to everybody that might be listening. July 15th to the 19th, we're going to be at Voc Tech's basketball camp. July 27th, we're going to be at Harambee Park in Dorchester for Play for Peace, which is another nonprofit. August 17th, we have our son's first memorial tournament at Burgo Basketball Association. So Steve Burgo, myself, and Paula, we we are on each other's boards, and one of the things that Burgo's doing is the signage at BBA will now include our logo for Achieve Greatness. And this was actually Steve's idea, was to do this memorial tournament in Andrew's name. So this will be the first one, and we're looking
Great job.
really looking forward to that. We have a lot of work to do before then, but it's really gone and it's setting the tone, and we want to make sure, again, it's about saving lives and impacting kids, impacting parents, grandparents. It doesn't matter. This drug is killing everybody. And then on August 24th, we're doing Martha's Vineyard with a friend of ours. It's Back to the Boat, he calls it. And basically, there's an all-day tournament on the vineyards on August 24th that we're also sponsoring that, co-sponsoring that event with the DJ Henry Dream Fund and Play for Peace. So we're doing a lot of activities, and I'll just keep talking about every time we get together, because I really want people to see what we're doing from the basketball standpoint, because Andrew's life is not going to be defined by him passing away from the weed that was laced with fentanyl. He loved basketball, and basketball was critical to our family, and you know that. So this is about focusing on, I wanted to do this podcast because I wanted to focus on sports, which is something that he and all my kids, love. We always used to have arguments and discussions about players and who was good and who stunk. And so to me, when you said yes to do this, it really, it was something I woke up and I had a dream about it. And then when I talked to you about it, and then you said yes, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I was all excited, man. So it doesn't matter how many people listen. If we get more listeners, that's great. I mean, we got a lot of followers, because between all the people we know, I think we got almost 350 followers now.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about it. And, I think we're going to be able to have some fun with this. And we can also next week talk about the Celtics. I think they're going to play 2 games by the time we meet. So I know they have a theme Thursday, and I think the next one's either Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I definitely will be taking my notes. Definitely can't wait. I really I don't remember another finals. Well, the 2008 finals was something special too, but I never had a stronger anticipation since then until this team, right? I just, even when they went to play Golden State, I was like, not really, I wasn't expecting anything. But this team I like since day one, since the start of it, beginning of the season. I was really like, this is going to be something nice. So let's put the cherry on top and get this championship and say, I told you so, and I can't wait.
Amen to that, bro. All right. Looking forward to it, man.
Can't wait, man. All right. Well, Phil, that's you're gonna have to end the stream on your end, and I'm sorry for the delay, everyone. I really I gotta hold up my obligations and make sure that we were definitely on the air at 7:30. And I'm sorry, but I really had to get the other podcast going and make sure that people traveled quite a few miles to be on that podcast, and I couldn't sell them short,
Amen. No, that's great, man. And good luck to them too.
Yeah, they're competing nationally. I mean, come on, man. We might have a local national champion, and that's always a great story.
Definitely.
We can get them on the Say What podcast.
Say what? Did you see all the stuff I sent you? We got to incorporate that in our intro.
We definitely have to. There has to be a good intro and upbeat intro, and all those videos were nice. So I just need somebody to do it for us, got to do it.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you. I can't wait to talk to you next week. And as you know, as always, you need me, just give me a holler. And whether we're talking this podcast or we're talking something else, I'm there for you. Anytime you need me, brother.
And ditto, bro. You know that. Love you, brother,
Yes.
and appreciate it. And let's have some fun with this thing, man.
Oh, we will. We will. We will.
All right.
So,
Peace out and God bless to everybody.
God bless y'all. Take care.
Later.
All right.